Welcome to The Explainer. So, what if I told you that the robot coming for your job isn't a threat, but is actually a promise of freedom? Today, we are diving into the really provocative vision of author Nenad Petrovich. He imagines a future of global abundance, and he argues this isn't science fiction, it's something that's already knocking at our door.
This one sentence right here is the absolute heart of the author's entire argument. It's a statement that just flips the whole conversation about automation completely on its head. It challenges everything we've been taught to fear about the future of work and everything we think we know about what our lives are supposed to be about.
Okay, so to really get our heads around this, we're going to walk through 5 key parts of his thinking. We'll start with the fear he sees today and go all the way to his final utopian vision. All right, let's dive in.
First things first, the author goes right at that widespread anxiety we all feel about a future run by AI. But he argues this fear isn't just a natural reaction. He says it's been intentionally created by the very system we're living in right now.
According to Petrovic, we've all been raised to think inside a very, very specific box. He argues that our fear of change comes from being so stuck in the current system that when a totally different reality shows up, our brains, and I'm quoting him here, simply don't have the processor to handle it. So he frames this as a huge conflict. On one side, you've got what he calls the old system, a structure he says is all about control, profit for just a few, and jobs that drain your soul. And on the other side, the promise of automation, abundance for everyone, real freedom, and work that you actually want to do. So Petrovic is basically saying that this old system is, of course, going to fight against these huge technological leaps. Things like artificial general intelligence or even superintelligence. But here's the twist. He says it's not because they'll create some kind of Terminator-style dystopia, but because they threaten the existing power structure. From his point of view, a truly fair AI or a universal basic income would totally pull the rug out from under the system of control. So you might be asking, okay, how does this massive change actually get started? Well, the author believes the catalyst for this new world isn't some far-off fantasy. He argues the engine for change is already fired up, and it's picking up speed every single day. And Petrovic really hammers this point home with a sense of urgency. He's saying, look, this isn't a prediction for the future, it's what's happening right now. He writes that this new reality, humanoid robots, AI agents doing office work, is something that the old rigid powers that be just cannot digest in their brains and stomachs. And this is a really crucial point for him, speed. His logic is that a slow, painful transition would be a disaster. Instead, he says we need to just rip the Band-Aid off and fast. The quicker we deploy this new workforce, he argues, the smoother this whole massive societal shift is going to be. Okay, so this brings us to the big practical question. If robots are doing all the work, how do people live? His answer is a bridge from our current world to his utopia, Universal Basic Income, or UBI. Now look, we've all heard of UBI. It's not a new idea. But the way Petrovich applies it is totally radical. He argues this can't just be some small-scale experiment in a few wealthy countries. For his vision to work, he says it has to be done on a truly global scale. And this slide really breaks down his 3-step logic. Step 1, use technology to create more abundance than we've ever seen before. Step 2, a global UBI distributes that abundance to every single person. And the result, Step 3, the end of that constant stress about survival and the end of poverty everywhere. For Petrovich, this is an all-or-nothing deal. He warns that a world where only the rich countries have this new system would just lead to more conflict. You'd have utopian islands building walls to protect themselves. He argues that this transition has to be for everyone, or it's doomed to fail. So let's just imagine for a second that we did it. We crossed that bridge, the transition is complete. What does daily life actually look like in this new world? Well, according to Petrovich, this is where his vision gets even more wild. Yep. You heard that right. In the final stage of his vision, money is just gone, obsolete. He argues that once we have true abundance, a tool that was designed to manage scarcity, money, doesn't make sense anymore. He says it just creates artificial problems and should be removed entirely. So, if there's no money, what do we use? According to his text, we each get a personal QR ID. But this isn't for buying things. He describes it more like a key that gives you access to all the goods and services that the automated workforce is producing. And the author gets pretty specific about what this key unlocks. It's everything from food and a place to live, to tech, healthcare, even travel. But see that little phrase at the top? In reasonable amounts? That's the important part. You get one phone, because why would you need two? The whole idea is a system of access to what you need, not unlimited hoarding.
Now, I know what you're probably thinking right now, because it's a huge question. The author anticipates this. He knows it all sounds incredibly utopian, and he directly takes on what he sees as the single biggest roadblock to his whole vision.
This is the classic question for any big utopian idea, isn't it? If the system we have now is built on wealth and power, why on earth would the people at the top ever let it go? Well, here's how the author tackles that. His core argument is that the very definition of wealth and power completely changes. Just look at how he lays it out here. The rich want to stay rich? Sure, he says. But wealth stops being a symbol of power when everyone has what they need to live a good life. His ultimate point is that when your survival and comfort are guaranteed, the whole incentive to hoard resources and control others just kind of evaporates. And this brings us right back to his central promise. In the author's vision, with all the basic survival stuff handled, human potential is finally free. Work isn't something you have to do to survive anymore. It becomes a voluntary act of creativity, of passion, of purpose. So to wrap it all up, what the author presents is a complete blueprint. He points out the fear he sees today, proposes a super fast technological shift as the answer, and lays out this detailed vision for a future of global abundance, one that eventually makes money itself a thing of the past. We've just walked you through the author's argument, laid out exactly as he presents it in his text. And now, we leave you with the same massive question his writing raises. Is this a plausible blueprint for a better world, or is it a dangerous fantasy? That, of course, is for you to decide.